Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of the rotation. It is me, Ashley, aka MiDNiTE Online, here with IKON Nation YT, aka IKON, and then we got Kingdom Soldier on board too. Super stoked, fellas, to talk CDL with you. This is our brand new podcast here on Minnesota Røkkr. If you haven't been paying attention the last week or so, I get it. You're busy. Heck, I've been super busy lately. I have really cool stuff that we announced today. Just real quick, got to get this out the way. The Røkkr is the Call of Duty League team, right? Then you got Version 1, the Rocket League team, right? They're like sister teams, owned by the same ownership. I work for both teams. It's a great time. Well, today we announced a rebrand of the Version 1 name to become the whole parent team to Minnesota Røkkr, to Rocket League. And we announced that we now have a Valorant lineup, which I am super stoked about. So we are now in Call of Duty League, obviously. You're here. You know that. Rocket League and Valorant. Big things coming. That was a huge announcement that we had today. Been a lot of work behind the scenes going towards that, and I'm just super stoked at just the future of these great organizations. So, with that being said, I'm in a great mood today. I'm mad hype. It's been busy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, we're super excited. And to top it all, I mean, a cherry on top of my freaking week, man. Call of Duty League returns officially. Kickoff weekend. Yeah, cool. Sure, Jan. Like, whatever. Battle of the North. We won. Expected. Whatever. But we're going in. We're ramping in, bro. This week. Week 1. Atlanta home series. Røkkr plays first. Hello. I mean, geez. What a way to debut this thing, right? Røkkr's going to play LA Thieves. Matthew Nadeshot Hag stepping up on the... Could you imagine if he was playing?
Like, oh my god!
Slot and was like, "Yo, hold on, I'll play for them."
Even if he subbed in for one search, that'd be just awesome.
I'd be into that. I mean, shoot, what if they're like super up? You know, toss him the controller for a round. Who knows?
What if each team had to do that and you had to play? And Hector had to
play. That's messed up. He getting shot, former pro, MiDNiTE, former sniper, streamer, rager. Super different. But you know, I could handle my own on league play back in the day, which brings me to my next point. And this week, league play came out. Now listen, I haven't had a chance to play it myself. I've read some positive, negative reviews out there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But fellas, I wanted to just start and talk about our predictions. We started our predictions last week. We predicted the first half of the matches last week. I'd love to talk with you guys more about our predictions for this week 1 home series, and then just like broader topics, because it feels like there's so much going on in the CDL community right now. So just really wanted to like get your guys' opinions on that, share the news, and just, I mean, all in all, get hyped about the Røkkr match, really. So where do we even start? I think we left off. Let me look where we left off.
We did FaZe and lag, I think.
Yep, FaZe and lag is where we left off last week. And hopefully if you've been listening, you know that. Otherwise, you'll hear our predictions on the first episode, which means we are now to Saturday. So we predicted Thursday, Friday of this weekend. And now we'll be looking at Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to roll through all the matches real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll give some hot take, quick predictions. I think, you know, I don't know. I guess the second half of this weekend is actually a lot more stronger matches, I would say. Although the weekend does start with a banger with LA Thieves versus Røkkr. Like,
that's a good match.
That is a good match. It's a good match to start off on. It looks like some of the other matches on Friday are pretty lopsided. We'll see, though. But on Saturday, we've got LA Gorillas versus Paris Legion. Super cool story there. We'll get to that. Mutineers in Florida versus Toronto Ultra. Wow, I don't know who wins that. Sorry. I'm like giving my prediction away. I don't know who wins that. The Gatefield marquee match. Cute. LA Thieves versus Subliners. It's pretty cool. Temp versus Subliners. Interesting. Got the Royal Ravens on Sunday morning. Or actually, it's in the afternoon. Sunday. Royal Ravens versus Surge. Dallas Empire versus Røkkr on Sunday. That is a big match. I mean, we're playing the goddamn world champs. That's cool. And then we got the final match of the weekend. It's not the E-Classico, but it's close. Classic. FaZe versus Optic Chicago, owned by Hector Rodriguez, Optic X. So we can just get right into the prediction, guys. Let's start with Saturday. Gorillas play last Friday, first Saturday. Interesting play there. Gorillas versus Paris Legion. Who do you guys have and why? We could start with Kingdom, and then I don't know. Maybe we'll rotate around. We'll see. Who knows?
This is a hard match to call. I think the Gorillas in the couple of, there's not a lot of scrims out there, but in the scrims that I've seen, I think in that opening weekend, I think Apathy was the Apathy we all have seen in the past. He did his thing and held it down. And so I'm interested to see how they go up against Paris. I was watching an interview with Scraps today, and he talked about how none of these guys had played together. Scraps did not know any of them. This was a last minute thing. It was his only option. He took it, and he said that he's never been a part of a team with this much that are just there to grind and do their job. Like he said, even the coaching piece. And so they all live in their own apartments, but then they get together in a 3-bedroom, like facility type deal where the coach is in one room, 2 players are in a second room, and then 2 players are in the third room. And that's how they play. And he said they're all about it. After the first time they played together, and this was literally the first time they ever played, after they scrimmed, they all got together and talked for hours, and nobody was like, bent out of shape by the feedback that the coach was giving and stuff like that. And so I think Paris is going to maybe start like they did last year on LAN, where they looked like, oh, snap, like, who is this team? Like, I don't think any of us expected last year for them to pop off like they did originally. So I think they're going to give Lag a run for their money. My guess is I'm going to actually call Paris for this one. I think that they want to prove something, because these are all players that kind of just got put together, and Fire is killing it.
Yeah, he's really, really up and coming. I mean, maybe he's not. He's already here. He's in the pro league. He's playing. So maybe he's already up. Now he's just coming. Like he's on his way.
Yeah, so I'm giving it to Paris over LAG, and it but probably be a 3-2.
Ooh, it'll be close, huh?
Yeah.
Icon, what do you think? Paris Legion versus the Lag, the Gorillas, the worst acronym in the CDL. No offense, Lag. It's an online league right now. I'm just kidding. What do you think, Icon?
Yeah. So a couple things before I get into this prediction. There are just 2 things that I wanted to point out. Is that one storyline for me for this weekend is I really think Minnesota's on kind of that, they're teetering between, are they for real, or are they kind of solidified in that 5 range, 6 range? And I think this is a perfect weekend for Minnesota to come out, and you're playing LA Thieves, which LA looked terrible on kickoff weekend against Optic. I mean, they just got completely handled. Yeah. And then one of those premier matchups on Sunday, not the Sunday night one, but right before them against Dallas. I mean, I think that's a huge moment to see, okay, they looked great in search. Can they look great in search against a team like Dallas that's renowned for being just a fantastic search team? So I think we're going to find out about Minnesota. And the other thing, I think one team, and this is very similar to the start of the season last year, is that at the start of the season last year with Clayster on Dallas and all kinds of power rankings that I did, I said, this is not where Dallas is going to end up. But for right now, Clayster's team, they're just not there yet. And I think going into this weekend, they kind of caught a little bit of a break because they only have one matchup. So I think that that's good for New York because they're probably not where they want to be yet. And had they come into this weekend and had 2 matches, then there's a good chance that they might lose both of those matches. And now they're a little bit behind the 8 ball when they're not quite ready and where they need to be yet. So those are just kind of 2 storylines that as I was looking at the matches overall, I thought about. But the match in question here, Paris versus LAG, these are 2 teams that are super intriguing to me because in initial power rankings, these are 2 teams that Paris we didn't really know about. So I had them in that 11-12 range. I mean, we didn't know. They didn't announce their team forever. And then they come out, same as last year. Last year they came out, had a great launch weekend, and all of a sudden they were like middle of the pack, top 5. I mean, they were playing great to start the year. And then LAG, they just have so many people on their team, and they have Mental, and they have Chino, and they have Exceed, and they have this bench. So really what's going to be happening there? And as we saw with Toronto last year, Toronto had all these players on their bench, which could have had something to do with why Toronto was so good at search and destroy, because now you can have all of these in-house scrims and go over search and destroy strats, and there's so many different minds to bounce ideas off of. So this one's interesting for me because to start the year, I didn't have a ton of faith in either of these squads, and they've both looked pretty decent in their kickoff weekend. Now, I know it's only one matchup on one kickoff weekend, but we don't have much else to go off of. So I'm interested to see what happens here because I think somebody's going to open some eyebrows, and I think it's going to be Paris. I have a little bit more faith in Scraps. We all know what a grinder Scraps is, and then Fire and what he's been doing so far. I also watched that interview, and I just love the fact that they seem like they just come together, they grind the game. When they're done with their scrims, they get together, they watch VODs. Like, it seems like everybody is in it for the right reasons for them. And I'm sure LAG is too, but I just think that there might be a little bit more upside there for Paris. So I'm going to take Paris in this first one, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think this match will be pretty close.
I like the 3-2 vibes from both of you. It seems like you think 3-2 as well, IKON?
Yeah, I could go somewhere 3-2. That's what it seems like.
You know what? Since this is only episode 2, I have the foresight actually. We should actually keep track of our predictions all dang season. I'd love to keep track, see who's right, see who's wrong. Because I'm actually going to go against you guys. And yes, I'm biased towards Silly and Assault. Listen, as a first-hand person who picked those two guys to represent Røkkr last year, everybody was counting them out like, oh yeah, that's like a top 8 team. Now listen, never mind where we finished at champs. Don't really want to talk about that, but let's talk about the beginning of last year when they first learned the game. They played really well as a unit. I mean, obviously GodRx was a huge part of that success. He is not on LAG, but I think Assault is a freak. He's going to be a freak. He's going to fry. He's going to do his thing with the AR. It's going to be gross. I think the X factor for LAG is, I think it's actually Vivid, right? You saw last year when Vivid was plugged in and on, like he made he got the wins for that team towards the end of that year, right? And so I don't know. I do think it's going to be really close. I'm going to guess 3-2 LAG. I don't know if we want to count our predictions, map count even. Maybe we could. We have the liberty to open an Excel sheet, I guess, and just start keeping track of this, guys. So I'm pretty excited. So IKON and Kingdom are thinking Legion. I'm thinking LAG. I'm excited to see Scraps. I hope he turns up. I think he deserves to be in the league. But I also I don't know. I got a soft spot for Silly and Assault. I think Assault is a freak in a good way. Like, he's nasty at the game. Let's move on to the next match. So we did just kind of talk a little bit about Toronto Ultra, and they're going up against Florida Mutineers on Saturday. God, man, I'm just so excited to be a degenerate and watch COD all weekend. Just
it's going to be wonderful.
I'm going to order some food, just kick back, watch the COD. We're going to be, oh crap, I should probably mention this. I know we've mentioned it on our socials, but in case you don't know, if you want to watch the Røkkr match, you can watch it right here on this channel, the Røkkr YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes or wherever, navigate your way to the Røkkr YouTube. Subscribe. Nice. We're going to be doing a co-stream. So you get to see the full match here, and then you'll have myself and IKON breaking it down kind of between the maps and matches. And I don't know, we're just going to be talking crap the whole time, basically. Not really. You'll be able to watch the match, like the nice feed, and then we'll just come in, between, before, and after, all that stuff. So I'm really excited for that. Saturday, Mutineers, Ultra, Kingdom. Tell me, who do you have? Because this is one where I'm like, geez, man, I don't know. That's a question.
I'm going Mutineers. Both the Ultra and the Mutineers have been on the timeline a lot this week with Method's comments about Formal.
Wait, what did he say? Bro, I've been so unplugged. What did he say? I've been so unplugged. Hold on, I'm about to look. What is it bad? Can you repeat it?
Well, yeah, I mean, he just basically was making a comment about something else on Twitter and saying that it was like World War II Formal.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then Formal and they kind of went back and forth. And I think Formal's response was pretty funny. He just named every game.
It was. Yeah.
Zinni in this game, he named like 5 different CODs. So, but I'll tell you, like, that dude can play COD. Like, we all know that. Like, Methods can fry. He can do his job. He's the meme king, and he's very entertaining. Didn't do the best, actually had the lowest KD on his team in the opener. And so he has a lot to prove. But then again, you've got Neptune, who went through all the drama with Crim and the ATS and all that kind of stuff. And now these guys are both printing each other's screenshots and showing it, and he's got like Florida is gonna come out and they're gonna try to just make people remember who they are. Luckily,
it's messy. You're saying they're coming out swinging.
Yeah, and I mean, Skies is still Skies.
Skies is nasty. I'm gonna play some fantasy CDL this year, and don't tell anyone on Røkkr, but I might pick up Skies. I think he's the sleeper. I mean, he's not the sleeper, but I think he's a pretty obvious pick. But yeah, he's a freak.
Are we doing map count or not? Because it'll matter what I predict.
Sure, let's always predict map count. Why not?
Darn. Because I want to say 3-1 Florida, but Ultra seems to always figure out how to win freaking searches. Yeah. Especially if they get it to round 11. They clutch up, you know. And I don't know if that's just Method's experience playing search, but they just come out with the right strat in round 11. And so, and it's entertaining whenever they're in around 11. And so I would love for them to win both searches, but then that would mean they won they basically won it.
Would. So you are picking
Mutineers 3-2.
Mutineers 3-2. All right, that's good.
Yeah,
Mutineers 3-2. Good call. IKON, what do you think?
Interesting. So a few things for me. Yes, Toronto played super tight in the match against Minnesota on that kickoff weekend, but that also took a tremendous performance from Bance in order to make that happen. And I'm not sure that that's something that they can rely on week after week. But with that said, I don't expect Cammy or Kleenex to also play as poorly as they did on that first week. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And it's just where we're at right now, that we don't have enough matches. We don't have enough data to really see, like, is this a game for Cammy, or was last year a game for Cammy? But with that, Toronto has a history of starting the year off great in search and really playing great in search as a whole throughout the entirety of last year. But I think I agree with kind of what you guys were saying with Skies. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, when we get down towards the end of the year, I don't see how Skies isn't one of those finalists for MVP. He's just, he's so good. He has such a great game IQ overall. The dude fries. So if you had to rank those 8 players, there's no doubt in my mind that he's probably the best amongst all 8 of those players. But Awakening has been playing insane. And we haven't even mentioned what Neptune did on that first weekend. I mean, just kind of being thrown to the fire against Atlanta, and you have Simp and you have a Beezy, and Neptune comes out and plays the way that he did. So I think that, again, my power rankings, I have Florida as 4, and I'm just waiting for them to make that move and become 2 or 3, or, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for them. So I'm going to go Florida here. I do think, and again, just I'll be shocked to see a ton of 3-0s this year, just because there's so much talent in the league.
It's competitive, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if Toronto came out and won this matchup. But I'm not going to pick that, but I wouldn't be shocked just because everybody's so stinking good. But I'm going to say Florida in a 3-1 fashion, and I just give that 1 just because everybody's so stinking talented.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I really liked your pun, Sky's the limit, Caesar Sky's on the team.
That's a hashtag. Skies should steal that. Like,
dude, he hasn't already. Sky's DM me, let's get your brand going, let's do it. So actually, fun fact, the first time I ever learned about Skies was in Black Ops 4 League play, and I was on the wrong end of that matchup. I was on one team, he was on the other, and my chat, because I was streaming at the time, my chat was like, "Oh my god, you're going against Skies, you're getting crapped on." I was like, who is this guy? So I looked him up, I looked up his Twitter, and he's on UYU or whatever at the time, and I was like, "Yo, good game, bro. Want to play?" And we teamed up for a little bit.
Nice.
So
wow.
and he literally carried me so hard. I was like, "This kid's a freak." And then obviously he gets in the league. I bet it's probably bad to call players freaks. I don't know what else to call them. Beasts, I guess. He's beast. They're all beasts.
Same thing.
All beasts. Sky's beasts. Everybody. So I picked Mutineers as well. I think they win 3-1. I think Toronto takes a search just because they're Toronto. And I do think, are they, I might be mistaken here, but are they one of the only teams that actually kind of stuck for the most part? They did some shuffling around between their bench and their main roster, but just have a lot of experience with one another. Florida, obviously, a similar roster can be.
Yeah.
But I think, beginning of the year, search and destroy, I give the nod to Toronto, but Florida will just, schmabobble in the respawns. But like you say, it's freaking, it's a 12-team league. The players just, rosters just got slimmed. It's very competitive. It's online, which has interesting factors. I mean, a lot of the players do seem to be in the same location. But I don't know. How do you even call these? I don't know. I think
it's going to be a long year.
I want you guys to consider this. Whether it's a match that we've already talked about, it seems like we've all kind of gone one way or the other, like kind of the smart way. But I would love to hear like your guys' upset of the weekend if there is one, because there's got to be at least one, right? But let's move on first.
Wait, I got mine already.
Does this next match have upset potential?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Subliners versus LA Thieves, marquee match on Saturday night. Who do you pick there? Because LA Thieves, I will say this. So you guys were like, yeah, LA Thieves like looked pretty rough against Optic Chicago. But I'm in the camp of, or did Optic Chicago just look really good? I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe, former Optic member drinking the green Kool-Aid a little bit. But like, they're pretty good, man. I think
they are.
LA Thieves is good as well.
Good.
But I mean, now you see them going up against Subliners, who they've had an interesting trek from off season to now with Clay and then instability there at the roster. But yeah, I want to know your guys' predictions. Kingdom, we'll start the rotation with you. LA Thieves, Subliners, who you taking?
Gosh, I watched Subliners play a little bit against Optic today, and they looked really good.
Did they beat them?
Yeah, they picked up some maps. And in one of the controls, it was 3-0. I think now I don't remember who switched, but because I saw that, I think it was Scump. I don't know. Somebody was surprised because ASIM and DiamondCon had switched, and I think ASIM was running a AR and DiamondCon was running a sub. And whatever they were doing was working. Their rotations were good. Clay was being Clay, kind of being sneaky and being in the right spots. A lot of veteran players, positioning is how they win. They're so smart when it comes to game knowledge and where to be on the map and predicting where people are going to come. And once Clay gets back in that groove and gets in his flow state, so to speak, that's when he drops his best games. And I think if this team with their potential and their talent, and their desire to prove themselves, Clayster was basically dropped. It's so hard to say, basically dropped from the best team in the world that came into this year, and nobody's doubting that they're still the best. Even other pro teams are saying, yeah, right now Dallas is number one and they have to prove themselves. But
imagine winning 2 back-to-back world championships and still having to reprove yourself.
This is Clayster. He's won. What did he win? 5 events in a row and then get dropped from complexity? We've seen this happen before to this guy, and he seems to figure out a way to come back to the top. And so never, ever count Clayster out. I saw your tweet about you were naming athletes as pro players, and you put Krim on, and you put Clayster on there, and I was like, big ups for putting Clayster on that list. You said he was Rodgers, I think he was Aaron Rodgers. And big ups for putting Clayster on that list, because he belongs on it. This dude's got multiple championships, multiple world championships, and in the last year he's won a lot. If you go back, let's go back 15 months, Clayster's won a lot of tournaments, and so whether it was online, LAN, doesn't matter, and so I think this is the biggest upset potential of the weekend. If the Thieves lose to the ROKKR and it's a beating, I think they can easily lose this match.
They might break up before that can't.
I was going to say, no, Nate'll do the hex and pull him in a meeting.
Nate'll maybe
eat some dinner together. And you guys, you're representing me, but I think that their team, I've watched, they've started to do content. All of the teams that are doing content, yay. They did a rating of everybody in their group, and they were funny and they were comical, and except TJ was just literally sitting there the whole time.
Classic.
But Kenny, Slasher, great leader. I did not know he was as old as he was, and he said a lot of people don't know that he's a lot older than most players. But he's been around for a minute. It's just he's been, once he rose to the top, and then he got attention, and now everybody's like, oh, Slasher. But he's been around for a minute, and so his experience, his mindset, and he lives with. Doesn't he live with Lamar?
He does. He lives with Accuracy. They're roommates.
Yeah. So him and Accuracy are roommates. So he's just grinding all day. He's playing the game. I think the Thieves have a chance to be what a Kenny and Slasher and TJ and Temp team should be. but I'm gonna. Oh my gosh, I kind of want to call this an upset. I might get flamed for it, but I'm gonna go Subliners 3-2. I think they have something to prove. They're only playing one match this entire weekend, and they're going to be over prepared. They're going to get to watch the Thieves on Thursday and kind of do some coaching and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to watch these other teams play. They get to see the meta that works over the weekend. Because they're
a really interesting point. I hadn't even thought about that. They only play one match and they play on day 3. Wow, talk about that's
a blessing.
That's a good job, bro. He's over there chilling. He's having a promote or something.
Yeah, and you're giving that time to Clayster, who has always been a nerd on the sticks and always, he's learning nade spots and all that kind of that they have a lot, and they're well coached. They're a great organization.
Yeah, I was going to say Coach Revin will have,
and they got Zuma on the team. He can help him as well. Because he's still sitting there being a part of the organization, So I think 3-2. I'm going to say 3-2 Subliners.
Well, go ahead, Icon.
I was going to say, I think you can prepare as much as you want, but if you're just not there yet, then it's not going to make that much of a difference. I will say, I wanted to throw this in there on the points that you were making about Clayster. I think just hypothetically, if you're starting a franchise like tomorrow and you have a simp on your team, great. If you have an Envoy or an Arcides or a Scump, and that's somebody that you build a team around, great. I feel the same exact way about Clayster. Mm-hmm. I just felt like coming into this year, that Dallas squad is going to miss so much because Clay is that dude that hypes people up, and he's that in-game leader. I mean, he is the in-game leader. There's not really anybody that does it like him. I just feel like he does bring so much to the table, which is why in the intro I said that was one of my storylines, is that I think that the fact that they only have one match this weekend is saving them a little bit. But in this matchup, it's always, for me, it's always the same storyline when it comes to that Thieves roster. Is Kenny and TJ going to be, are they going to pop off or are they going to be down? It's just, you never really know what you're going to get out of those two. It's like, we'll see how the first map goes. And if they pop off, then look out because they can beat anybody. If they come out and they get smoked in that first hard point, 250 to 110, are they going to be able to come back from that? Which also, you talked about how New York could sit back and they don't have to play until day 3 and they have that going for them. But again, with LA, if they come out and they win that first matchup against Minnesota, which we didn't predict, but if that does happen, now they have all the confidence in the world. And going into this matchup, it's probably one that most people would pick for them to win. So they have all of that on their side. Also, I think once New York gets solidified, once Hydra gets there and they get some practice with what their actual roster is going to be, I think if we have this talk in 3 months, it's probably a different story. But for right now, the experience from Slasher, the experience from everybody. I mean, they have experience up and down their roster. So with this one, I'm going to say LA Thieves in a 3-1. But again, if you want to go with an upset, again, at this point in time, nothing would shock me because everybody's so close. I just don't see it yet. Come back in 3 months, maybe they get that victory, but I'm going 3-1 LA here.
That's valid for sure. I dig it. Write that down. We're gonna keep track of our predictions all year. So I'll figure it out. I'll get out the Excel sheet after this. We'll start counting. Man, LA Thieves are Subliners. I'm just looking at the lineup here. This is the best match, except for 3, which is both the ROKKR matches and the Optic FaZe match. This is the second. This is the 4th best match though. And with how much Call of Duty is being played this week, and I think that's high praise. You have both the veteran leadership of Clayster on New York. You got Slasher on LA Thieves. I mean, we've seen Clayster do it. It's like a recipe at this point. It's put a half a cup of a up-and-coming player here, put a well-rounded guy here, put a cracked kid here. Clayster's trying to mix the batch in New York, and they don't have Hydra yet, right? They have a seam. They're kind of working with their lineup and what they're able to do right now. So, are the players that Clayster currently has around him what's going to bake his cake or whatever recipe I'm talking about? We don't know. Is that there? I think LA Thieves had to take, the Optic match on the chin. I think Optic came out with the Fiber Texas, whatever, what's going on there. They're just
Fiber formal
nuts right now. Fiber formal. That's a 3-0 versus Optic. doesn't mean LA Thieves is bad. You know, when ROKKR 3-0s them, it doesn't mean they're bad. I think I'm very biased. Obviously, I'm very biased because I got the jersey on the wall. Leave me alone. LA Thieves or Subliners is going to be my match to watch. I'm very excited about it. It looks like the most even keel match, and I think LA Thieves will take it 3-0. They're coming out with a fire.
Bold prediction.
They're going to go into that match 0-6, right? Let's go.
I'll say one other thing real quick I wanted to throw in here that I forgot. If Zuma was there and if Zuma was 100% healthy,
True.
I think New York wins this matchup.
For sure.
So, I mean, again, that speaks to the point that if they're, if their roster is solidified and they put in the time for practice, like, Clayster's going to do with them, I think it's a different story. So, again, take a little bit away because their roster's kind of not what they expected it to be. But if Zuma was there and if Zuma was 100%, I mean, he's one of the most lethal players that our league has seen. So I just think it would have been a different story.
Yeah, could definitely agree there. And to kind of go back on so I did tweet out a quarterback metaphor. Obviously, we just had the Super Bowl this week. Shout out to everyone who likes one-sided games.
I was gonna say, man, I wasted a lot of time staring at the TV.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be a good game, and I feel like every year that I just want it to be a good game, it's a blowout. But Optic tweeted out on the Super Bowl day, Tom Brady really is the Scumpy of football flame emoji. Now, obviously, he's being funny, but it's all. It kind of made me think. I was like, wow, like. Especially if you're a sports fan, particularly NFL fan like I am, like trying to think of the parallels between the players and the quarterbacks was really interesting to me. So here's what I responded with. I said, Krim equals Brady. I mean, 7 rings. Krim's got like 55 million championships. Good for him. Seth, so Scumpy is Aaron Rodgers. Just absolute gunslinger. Will win here and there. Can get you close, but won't always win the thing.
Oh.
I put Clayster. I'm a Vikings fan, so I can say that. Clayster and Drew Brees. I don't know if that was a solid pick. That's up for debate. Drew Brees obviously really good. I don't know if Peyton Manning maybe instead. But I don't I'm trying to think of a guy who no matter where he goes. So you had Brees at Chargers, Brees at Saints. Like he made it work with each of those groups and championship caliber team. And then you got Shotzi, MVP from last year, Mahomes, world champion, young.
Yeah, right.
Jeez, makes sense.
I like that one.
I also did.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I also did predict these or make these, so I'm very biased. And then many people actually got mad at me for not including Karma, who is not currently a pro player, so let me rock. But I had to put Karma down as Brett Favre because he's just that X Factor guy.
He can always come back and play.
Yeah, that's anyway. Sorry, I just want to change on my quarterback stuff, but
no, that was a good tweet.
It was I want to know in the comments who's the NFL or even NBA, do other sports, like who's the LeBron James of COD? Who's the Michael Jordan of COD? Do we have one yet? I would love to see kind of sports analogy.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I was going to say too. I don't think we have a Tom Brady yet, but I think if you fast forward a decade, I think it's going to be Simp. I think Simp is that dude that is just, he can do it all. He can run an SMG, he can run an AR, he can snipe and search and destroy. I think that's the dude that's going to take the world by storm.
Do you think though so this is kind of what's happening these days is there's so much talent even in the NBA that now it's hard to talk about GOATs because everybody's dropping, Steph dropped 57 in a loss the other day. It's like this guy was back-to-back MVP and, went to the, finals 4 years in a row. But now it's like, well, we know the Warriors. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are predicting the Warriors to be in the finals. And so when I think about Simp, he's always going to be so talented, but the league seems like the talent that's coming into it, they're looking at a guy like Simp, and I think of Simp as the next version of Scump. I just think he's going to fry for most of his career, always be great, always be considered a top player in most of the games he plays, win championships in most of the games that he plays. But I think we'll look back, and if there was a Tom Brady, I don't think anybody's going to catch cream and chips. I was
going to say,
unless it's Seth. But,
especially with how how many chips there are now, and how do you, especially last year, you count that and all the teams are there, it gets dicey. Krim is, he's way out ahead. Like, right?
Yeah, and even like Breakpoints, they tweeted out his stats, and his average placing is like 3.08 or something,
Isn't that
which is
insane?
ridiculous, like for a
Imagine,
professional athlete.
like hundreds of tournaments, your average placement is 3.
That's
Like, and he had some really tough placings in there. Like,
yeah, he has some really tough. Yeah.
Top
And
like
so
4 at one point.
well, it said 33 LAN or 33 championships, and then it said like 4 online championships or something like that underneath it. So they separated it out, and there's always going to be the asterisk or whatever, but still, he had the number 1 team when it was half online, half offline. He still had the number 1 team, so it's hard to dispute. But like you said last week with Scumpy, like that dude is just. I mean, even this year, it's ridiculous. He's kind of like LeBron in that sense that he just somehow puts the right people around him and gets better. And if you're wise enough to let Seth go off and do his thing, your team will be successful. I mean, it's just been proven historically, but when you try to do too much and put him in a specific role, it doesn't always work out for them. And so, I mean, not that Scumpy can't be a role player, but I wouldn't make him one if I was, a team manager or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a valid call out. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to see how it develops, particularly. I mean, we're only 1 year into CDL now. I feel like we'll look back at like the CWL days, the MLG days as like before the AFC and NFC were in the same league almost. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like it's gonna be weird how history really just we're about to watch it like write itself. So I'm really excited for that. So
bananas.
Anyway, I've derailed this completely for me. I just had to talk. I just love talking COD players. All right, so now we're to Sunday in our predictions.
All right.
And I don't know if you guys have guessed it yet or not, but this is the day that I have my upset.
You're still gonna say the ROKKR are gonna win though, right?
That is my upset.
Gotcha.
Spoiler alert. But before that, we got London Royal Ravens playing against Seattle Surge. Wow, how do you predict this one? Neither of these teams blowing my hair back, but it's time for one of them too, right? Like if you're in London or you're Surge, I mean, I just can't even believe Surge and Octane are in the position that they're so frequently in, right? Like something's got to change or give. I just wonder when that is. So, what do you guys think about this this first match for both teams here on open?
The IKON go first this time.
IKON, you want to take first crack?
All right, fine. I think I don't know. I thought the same thing last year that there has to be a point in time when a roster as talented as what Seattle has starts to turn that page, right? They didn't have the best showing. They obviously lost that kickoff weekend to LAG. But when you have Octane, who hasn't looked the same this year, not that he's been poor, but last year he was like a walking 1.7 every single tournament. And he hasn't quite been that player. Like when they're in scrims, it's been fairly often that he'll be, third or fourth when it comes to like the post-match scoreboard, where he's just not putting up the same numbers. But that doesn't mean that he's not capable, because we know if you're just talking about just a flat out skill, there's nobody from the AR position that's better. It is what it is. And we know Gunless is there also. The big thing for me for Seattle is, what are we going to get out of Pristini and Looney? Because Pristini hasn't really been performing. Like if you're talking 4v4 and you need a couple SMGs that are going to rival Envoy and Scump, and they're going to rival Attach and Priesta. I mean, these are some quality names. So are you going to get that type of performance out of Looney and Pristini? That's something that kind of wears on me. But when it comes to London, I just don't see it from their roster either. I think that their best player is probably Shawnee, but I'm not sure that they're going to get an Octane capable performance or a Gunless capable performance out of some of the rest of the players on their roster. So when I'm looking at this, I want to put Seattle in that 7, 8, 6 range really bad, because I think that right now at the beginning of the season, that's probably their potential. They're just not quite there yet. But I think in a matchup like this, it's where it could possibly happen. So I do think this one will go the distance. I think the hard points will probably be really close. I think that you could see a 250, 230 type ending. It's going to come down to one rotation here or there, depending on, who clutches up and makes that one overall play, which is another instance where I think Seattle has the edge. They just have Octane, Gunless, Pristini, they all have that ability to just clutch up, make that one play that you need to win a map. So I'm going to go Seattle in this 3-2. It wouldn't shock me either way. I think that these two teams right now are really close, but Shawnee clutched up when it came to champs last year and had a fantastic tournament in champs. But I'm going to go Seattle here just because I'm waiting for it to happen, and I think that this could be the spot where it does. So 3-2 Seattle.
Chris Duarte is playing in the Call of Duty League this weekend for the London Royal. We gotta talk about that.
It's awesome.
Wow. I am excited to see it. I think that I couldn't tell what Scraps was saying when I was watching him on the eavesdrop, but it sounded like Zero didn't want to have to go through the quarantine protocols to get out of UK. And so for now, it's a COVID thing. He can't leave, and Parasite's on the squad, and people are cheering him on. Like, everybody's looking at this like, take your shot, dude. Like, do what you can, make the most of it. However, and in the little bit of glimpses of him playing that I've seen, he's actually been playing really good. Like, and in scrims, I think I was seeing him play against Optic at one point, but this was like last week, and he was hard to find. Like, he was being Parasite. He was in the right place at the right time, and he was pre-aimed, like a lot of the veteran players do. And so did you want to say something, Ashley? I keep false starting myself. I was just going to say, I feel like Zero and Parasite are kind of similar play styles, right? Like, they're more AR centric, kind of like more right place, right time, like understanding the slayage and how, like, it's not always about the numbers, but if you're getting the numbers in the right spot. So, like, if I'm going to trade anyone on London Royal Ravens for Parasite, it would be Zero. And if, circumstances happen, now it's happened. I love the redemption arc. So I just think they're similar players. I really like this swap out. I'm still going to go 3-2 Surge. Dang, all that. I think the Surge are going to get – no, but here's the thing. The reason why I wanted to say all that is, number one, I think Parasite deserves the props. Yes, for sure. Dude has grinded his butt off and kept his nose clean and just stayed focused on the grind. And he got picked up by a professional team. Even if it's a short-term contract, make the most of it. Do your thing. Like, this is your opportunity. All eyeballs are on you. Play out of your mind, but don't play as an individual. Play as a team member. Fry out. They'll probably have I think it'll still be 3-2. The Surge have started to look better. I love the fact that Octane is making content, and he's making, like, on his YouTube channel, he's making competitive content, but he's also trying to break into just having fun and doing I'm loving all the content from the CDL this year. And he's breaking in, but he's been breaking, league play dropped. He did a league play video, like settings change or meta changes. He talked about what the CDL preset classes. He did a video, like, he's on the grind. He's doing his thing, really focused on content this year. And I think he's tired of losing. And so the reason why you're not going to see Turret Tane, like we've seen in the past, is because that role isn't going to win on games in Cold War. It's just not going to do it. You have to, there was a push today that Optic did where it was random round, and Envoy is like, hey, you guys want to try something? He's like, I'm going to run around. Well, I shouldn't say, well, it was public, so it doesn't matter. He's like, I'm going to run around water, and it was on control. You guys wait at back art on raid. And then when I tell you to go, you go. So he baits everybody by running down water and shooting around and stuff and throwing things. And then he says, all right, go. And they took over the control point that's right there at Statue. Like, they got it immediately because Envoy's distract. And it was just a random play. Like, I think what you're going to see out of Seattle is you're going to start to see, they did a Warzone tournament where they played against each other last week. They're having fun. They're getting to know each other as a team. Pristini's having a blast. Like, that's what this team needs, is positivity, laughs. Like, I don't think Dashy wanted to do content, and that was one of his challenges about moving here and moving in with Optic and all that. But it's making a difference in how they play and get through adversity. And Seattle, with Looney and Gunless and Octane, like, you got to make sure that they can get through adversity when they face it, because they could easily just divulge into catching an L all year long. And I think that this is going to be a good match for them. I think they're going to be well prepared. I think they're going to play well, and it's going to be a 3-2. Nice. And they'll win the last search by 4 rounds. Oh, we're getting so specific. We're going to start, like, I don't know. We're going to have to – I'm writing that one down too. We'll have like like brownie points or something at the end of the season, or we'll come back next week and just check out our totals, just see
Nice.
who's been guessing the right way or formulating their opinions. I am going the other way. Listen, I do vote with my heart a lot on these types of things. I do think Surge will play better than they have, but they're going to take a whomping versus Empire, in my opinion. And I think this Royal Ravens game is going to be close. I think Royal Ravens are underrated. I think they're going to beat Surge. I think all the fun times in league play and content and good vibes, when you don't win, it really puts a stank on things. And so if they can win this weekend, it's very good for them. I do agree, but I just don't think they will. I think Royal Ravens is going to take it 3-2. Parasite coming in there. Talk about a redemption story, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's burned tons of bridges along the way, and I can't say I've always agreed with his conduct, but he's just, I love the story, man. We should have him on the podcast. I want to hear his story. I want to hear just like you've worked, you've clawed your way. He almost had to do it like twice too, because there was some more like
he got in and out. Yeah.
He got in and out of the arguments with people. I remember the legendary arguments between like him and Eggs, him and Slash.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, dude, they were insane. But so it's, I don't know. I do like he's turned a page. He's almost given up along the way. Like, he's been very open about it on Twitter. I just think he has a great story, and I want him to win. I want Alex to win. That's my boy. Like, I really hope London does well. But I mean, Surge, you can never count out Octane. I don't think it's going to be easy for them, but I do think Ravens are going to win. We'll see.
Yeah, I think
y'all guess the same thing. By the way, that's
before we go to the match where you're gonna obviously go. I think it's funny because Ashley each week makes sure that she represents anybody who's played for the ROKKR.
I do.
In like 5 years, she's not going to be able to make predictions.
That's true. Hopefully not. Hopefully we have the same the next decade.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully.
We're a dynasty. We're going to be the Patriots.
There you go.
Priest is going to turn into Tom Brady. It's going to be crazy.
Hey, I like it.
That would be cool. But I do have a soft spot for former players. I really have predicted all former players. Holy cow. All right, screw it. Surge of God. No, I'm just kidding. My prediction still London 3-2. Going into the next match, Dallas Empire versus Minnesota ROKKR, the second to last matchup of the weekend. You know what they say? They say second to best for the best. Or what am I saying? The best for second to last is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Empire versus ROKKR, the world champions, Dallas Empire. Insane roster last year. Even more insane, slim down roster this year. They're looking good. They're feeling good, it seems.
Yeah.
But the ROKKR boys, I mean, this is a little bit of like, not a spoiler alert, but definitely something you should be aware of. We're actually uploading our docu-series on the team called Saga. We are starting it up for season 2. It comes back tomorrow, premiering live, 6
It's so good.
Central. Glad you guys are fans of it. It's kind of just like, let's buffer up for the season. Let's see what the boys been up to. And obviously the players are always going to say, yes, like, we are going to win. We need to win. Like, that is obviously their mentality. If they had any other mentality, I'd be like, what are you doing here? They're very confident, but at the same time, like, if you look at the whole group kind of layout and the schedule that we will face, future teams will face this weekend, Atlanta home series is Minnesota ROKKR's toughest matchup on paper.
Right.
Thieves, Dallas Empire.
Right.
Even if they lose versus Thieves, even if they lose versus Empire, this will be a very big teaching moment, and they will be able to become better from it. But with that said, my upset pick is Minnesota ROKKR beating the world champion Dallas Empire on Sunday. It's going to go to the wire, 3-2. Just like, we almost beat them on land last year and got second.
Yeah.
It was 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about that. I predict ROKKR. That's my upset of the week, the weekend. We'll see how it goes. I'm just, at the most, I think it was IKON, or maybe it was both of you that made this point, but we are going to learn a lot about this team this weekend because they do have a really strong schedule. We're going to find out, like, where do they fare. So we're going to find out. I'm very excited. I think we can win. I think we will win. Kingdom. Who you taking?
So
ROKKR.
I'm taking Dallas. The hard thing is the map count. I'll just get it out there while This team is just ridiculous, and until they prove that they're not ridiculous, I think it's hard for anybody to doubt them, and they win the right way. And I'm not saying that the ROKKR don't play the right way, and that's why the ROKKR have been, like, at the beginning of last year, they were kind of a top 4 team. Some people have them a top 4 team right now. They're for sure the top 5. And so I think that's why you have these 4 teams, the last 2 matches of the weekend are these squads. And it would be a great storyline, of course, for the ROKKR to win. The ROKKR, they held their own last week, or in the opener a couple weeks ago. It's just this Dallas team, and even they did their player kit announcement today, and it's got Krim is on the throne that they got as a trophy for champs. And at the end, he crosses his arms, and they have a crown slide over that's gold onto the top of his head and glow.
Insane.
And then he turns to the side, and the screen just goes away. I mean, the graphic, I didn't pay attention to the close, but I think that was an intentional, I'm the GOAT, I'm the king. Like we call Scump the king. It would be like somebody in the NBA putting a crown on their head, like saying LeBron's not the king, I am. That would be a little like if Kawhi did that, we'd be like, ooh, storylines.
I didn't really
and so that's how I received it. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing there, bro. Because Scump's always been on the throne, and you're sitting on a throne, and he's got all of his team around him, and he's the only one sitting down, and he just goes like this, and he turns his head, and the crown blings, and then the screen goes out. It's ridiculous. And I think that every team is doing things at such a high level this year. I won't say every team, but most teams are doing things at such a high level in terms of content production, the announcements of their content. You guys are doing a podcast, multiple podcasts, because Brett's going to come out with his business one, and it's going to be dope.
Podcast, all right?
I saw a Valorant character of Brett today that I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
Jet Diamond,
Jet
Diamond for life, man.
Brett Diamond. And so, I honestly, I will tell you that I was a gigantic ROKKR fan last year. I kept predicting them to win. When they lost to Dallas, I was like, that was your chance, and I know you guys probably did the same thing. Because you're part of the team, you were probably punching tables and stuff. But I do think Dallas is going to take this. And I'm going to say 3-2 because I really think ROKKR is going to stretch them. I don't know what game modes, though, because the map set is so weird this year. Some of the maps there's teams that can't win on them. But if it's a different map, they can win every control. But they get control on that one map, and it's totally different. And so it'll be interesting if we talked about it last week, if standoff comes into the rotation. But until then, because I think raid is not one-sided for anybody. It's literally it's the great perfect map that it used to be.
It really is the best map in the game for all the games forever.
Love it. So I'm going Empire 3-2. Definitely there is upset potential. The ROKKR are one of the best coach teams in the league. You guys prepare well, you work well. I just think the Empire are still up here, and until somebody knocks them off a peg, even if I think we've talked about it, if they lose this weekend, it's just like the ROKKR. If you guys lost both matches, we're not going to say the ROKKR are now 8th in the league. We're not going to say that. That's because they're playing 2 tough teams, and Thieves have something to prove. Empire are proven. So you're right. It's going to be a tough weekend for you guys, and I'm going to go with this one. I have ROKKR winning their first match. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to say 3-2 for Dallas.
Heck yeah. Icon, what are your thoughts? Who do you see pulling it out in Empire versus ROKKR on Sunday?
I do think this has the potential to be the upset of the weekend. I really do think that.
Are you just saying that because we're doing the show stream? Are you
So I think that the potential is there. Also, before I get into my prediction, I do want to say that there are some juicy storylines this weekend, and this is one of them. This is one of those matches where you're going to find out, is Dallas the same Dallas, or is Minnesota, oh boy, we got a squad here that can beat anybody.
They win that match, yeah.
I know it's early. It's one matchup, but the storylines here are kind of absurd. So I think this matchup and the one after it, which we're going to talk about here in a minute with Atlanta and Chicago, those two storylines, talk about just getting after it the very first weekend. I mean, those are some insane matchups. But back to Minnesota Dallas, the problem that I'm having when I think about my prediction also goes along with game modes, because when it comes to hardpoint, throughout the entirety of last year, Chicago was the best hardpoint team in the game, but Dallas is a close second. I mean, it's really tough to beat a team like Dallas into hardpoint map. I mean, it's really tough to do. And on top of that, Minnesota did come out and beat Toronto in that first weekend, but they didn't.
Sorry.
But they didn't. But they didn't win either of those hard points. So they were able to win that matchup because they clutched up in control and both of those search and destroys. That recipe 100% will not work against Dallas. You're not going to beat them in both searches. I mean, you don't ever want to say never, but that is tough to do, especially when you have the talent that you have from all four of those positions. You have Rambo Ray coaching them on strats. I mean, it is super tough to beat them in one search map, let alone two. So the problem that I'm having with going through and actually picking this as my upset of the weekend is that I just don't see how the numbers work out. And again, I've said this just like Kingdom did, until somebody knocks Dallas off their throne, I don't see it. I don't see them losing until somebody comes out and proves it. I do think it'll be close. I don't think now in these hard points, in these searches, I don't think that there's going to be any 250 to 100 hard points. I don't think there's going to be any 6-1s in search. I think it's going to be hard fought.
Competitive.
But with that, again, until Dallas comes out and does it, I'm going to say 3-1 Dallas.
Painful.
How dare you?
God. Okay, so when you should post this. Just cut off everything after he said the upset potential of the week. But I do want to. Go ahead, Icon.
Just to clarify in the 3-1 map count, because now we're saying what maps are going to lose and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Just to clarify, I don't think that they can win the 2 hard points, which is where the 3-1 comes from. But gotcha. I do think that control or that search, I think both of those are going to be super tight. It's going to come down to somebody clutching up, making a play here or there, just like accuracy did in that first weekend against Toronto for Minnesota. So that's just, I think that the maps that are going to be close and the one that Minnesota takes is either going to be the search or the control. I don't think, I think the hard points, they're still maybe a tiny bit behind.
And you guys are still doing picks and bans, right, Ashley? Like behind the scenes or whatever for maps, do you know?
Like vetoes?
I think
so. Yeah, vetoes, like map vetoes, because good luck Brian and the team, because that's what could win. Like this, and this is what I want to say. We're predicting, but we know Dallas is going to lose some matches this year. You know, if I'm the ROKKR, it's like let's be the ones that beat them. You know, like
pressure's on Dallas this weekend,
right? Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
They're gonna now. I will tell you that Dallas is gonna step up at the major. You know, and it's gonna be tougher to beat them in that setting. But I think for these kind of one-off, kind of league play-ish matches, show your stuff. Like come out and just do your thing. And Hector said this on, I don't know what I was watching him on. I think it might have been Eavesdrop. He was just talking about how competitive this is. Like these are the 48 best players that there are. Yeah, there's some guys underneath that are in challengers, and they're still way better than all of us. Like we're talking about the top 1% of 1% of players in Call of Duty, and they're playing against each other. And because of shrinking the teams to 4v4, any team can beat any team on any given Sunday, pun intended for this match. I think that while we're making these predictions, we're predicting based on the stats, the numbers, history, the makeup of the team, how the people work together, play together. You're talking about a team that's played together for a year. They stuck together. They didn't change anything except for having to drop somebody because they had no choice. They picked up Rambo Ray. Like this is, you know, it's a good story, but the Minnesota ROKKR, you guys started like up here when it comes to the professionalism, the content, you know, they hired a head of content. You know, it was, there was so much that was put into that team. And Brian has been doing a freaking phenomenal job. And the way the roster you guys put together, nobody expected to see that. You hear all these murmurs in the league about who was going after Priesta and all this kind of stuff, but you guys, it came your way. I heard an interview today that talked about that Kevin Garnett, and I know we make so many NBA references. Kevin Garnett from the Celtics.
Too, actually, this is the one thing I saw on Twitter today.
So it was like, well, I might be saying something different, but maybe it's the same. Kevin Garnett was supposed to go to the Lakers, but Kobe Bryant never texted him back. Rest in peace, Kobe. Kobe Bryant never texted him back, so he went to the Celtics and played for Doc Rivers and with Paul Pierce and Rondo and Ray Allen. Like, it for real. Like, I was watching Up in Smoke. It's like an NBA podcast that Matt Barnes does, and like I was like, wait a minute, what? Kevin Garnett would have been on the. You know how dominant they would have been instead of Lamar Odom. Like Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant, that he would have had more chips. Like, so, COD is the same way. Clayster said this last year on a podcast that there are trades that have changed the history of Call of Duty forever. And what you guys did, like you said, you want to be a dominant team for the next decade. What you guys did is you took a franchise player in Priesta, you got him on your squad. You took a veteran player in Attach and got him on your squad. Like, there is so much potential in this team. And if this could be the match, this could be the upset. And I've said all of that because I agree with IKON that this is one of the biggest upset potentials of the weekend. The Subliners upsetting the Thieves would not be as big as the ROKKR beating Dallas. And the most you would move Dallas is down 1, but you would probably move the ROKKR up 1. So your top 4 now is like maybe whoever wins that last match. It could be Optic, Dallas, FaZe, and then ROKKR. And so I think this weekend is going to be great for a lot of teams. But you're not going to.
Dude, you're saying the last 2 matches on Sunday could shape the top 4 of. And I say it again. I mean, this is why you always. So here's how you identify the underdog. Who has the most pressure? Who's got the odds on their side? Is Dallas. The ROKKR's coming up like obviously the guys. I mean, shout out to Saga coming out tomorrow. You'll see exclusive interviews in that series. But the players, the sentiment is, we want to freaking win.
Yep.
Right? If they don't, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But if Dallas drops a map at week 1, it's they fell off. What happened? Hangover, whatever you call it. Hangover. I don't know what you call it, but it's going to be a crazy match. I'm really excited. If you're looking at that Dallas squad, I mean, you look at the fact that the rosters had to get trimmed down, and Clayster's the one that gets trimmed.
Insane.
That means that roster is nuts and
ridiculous. Yeah.
And I also think the ROKKR roster is nuts, and I am very biased, and I will almost never not predict them to win. But they are my upset of the weekend. I think they can take it. I'm very excited to see that match. It's probably the match I'm most looking forward to because I think it will inform a ton. It will inform, okay, where is ROKKR at? Where is Dallas at? Here, we're finding our place. We're finding our way. So, moving on to the last match for predictions, guys.
Spicy. Happy
Sunday night, the spiciest, or I guess you call it the hottest match because Valentine's Day, whatever. The Be Mine type of vibe. We got Atlanta FaZe versus Optic Chicago, owned by Hector Rodriguez, Optic X. I still can't believe that's a thing.
Woo, yeah.
You got Atlanta FaZe. I mean, they did not look good against Florida in kickoff weekend, but does that matter? No. Does that have anything to do with where they are in this group right now? No. Does it have any implications towards the major? No. How does FaZe come out against Optic? Optic looked really good at kickoff, but I mean, how do you even predict this one? I'd love to hear your guys' takes. All right, which one of you wants to go first? Who goes first? Should I go first on this one? I'll give you guys a break.
Why don't you go first?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's go. Last prediction of the night. Optic Gaming versus Atlanta FaZe. I mean, y'all know how I am, right? I got the heart. Love those Optic boys. And I almost always have to predict what my heart wants. And I love Optic, though. Like, that's my boys. If you guys don't know, I was a part of Optic for 9 years back in the day. But I think Atlanta FaZe is going to beat them 3-1. I think they are going to come out hot. I think that Kickoff was not our accurate representation of who they are. I think Crowder's whipped those guys into shape. I think Alec or Arcides will show up in a major way. Simp and Abizi are going to do Simp and Abizi things. And you're just, it's tough to say that when they're facing Formal, Scum, Envoy, Dash. I mean, I'm starting to rethink my. Oh my gosh.
It's a hard prediction.
I'm going FaZe up on Optic 3-1. I hope I'm wrong because I love Optic. I want them to win. Shout out to the GOAT Seth. But I think Atlanta FaZe will not tolerate or accept, even though the match didn't matter on kickoff, that is not tolerable for them on that roster, right? I think they'll come out stronger. So that's my prediction. That's my I guess that's my one-off prediction of the week. Because usually you'd probably think I'd go the other way there, but I don't know, man. I want to know what you guys think. Kingdom, what do you
think you're gonna get a DM from Hector.
Oh
He's gonna be like, 3-1, are you serious? And you want me on your show? No.
1v1 elite play.
I can't wait to watch him and I love watching him and Umu, man. Those guys are awesome. Like,
yes, so it's classic.
I need a group of older guys that can play with me.
CDL league play. There you go.
So this is as tough as you said it is. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. You said you don't think the opener was a clear indication of Atlanta. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't think it was an indication of their talent or their ability. I think it was an indication of their under preparation. That's what you heard from Crowder. I don't know if the team has publicly said it, but Simp's a humble guy. He probably would if you interviewed him and asked him. You know, he would say, yeah, we just needed to do this and this and this, and we weren't paying attention to this. But I'm going to say this as well. I don't think we saw the true Chicago in the opening weekend either, because the LA Thieves were not ready for the smoke. It's, you know, and you guys know how momentum works, and it works in esports the same as any other sport. Like when you start getting fried and every time you spawn in, you're getting killed and you're a professional player, I don't know how you press through that when your whole team is just, you just see the, you know, and you're all 0.8, 0.8, 0.7, 0.7. And then the other team is like 1.3, 1.2, 1.2, 1.3. Like that hurts when you get beat like that. And it's hard to then go into a slow search and win that. And then you go into a control. Like they almost didn't have a chance once Chicago put them on their heels. Formal's happy to be back at home. But what we've seen from Chicago is they're now dropping some scrims. They're dropping some maps. They're not like Dallas were last year where they were like freaking undefeated and you know, they had that 50, or what was it, Atlanta, they had like the 50-0 run in scrims or something crazy. And then Dallas was number 1 in scrims, and then they lost at the Minnesota, you know, opener. And then everybody, you know, and then that was Scump was like rent-free Crim 6. Oh man, like I love COD storylines are the best. There's no esport that even gets close to comparing to us.
I love the
I'm doing all this talking because I'm trying to figure out who the heck I'm gonna pick here.
Yeah, you're like going back and forth in your head.
It's hard.
Flipped while I was talking. I was like, I don't believe in this.
We're talking about the predictable kind of two of the top teams, and with Dallas out of playing these two, with Atlanta playing Chicago, and I think because of groups, Dallas doesn't play Chicago until the major, right? I'm pretty sure
that's probably how it's going to shake out.
Yeah. So that, I mean, and we get to like last year, we anticipated that Huntsman phase and it never happened because teams kept, you know, it was like they got close, and then I think it was Toronto that knocked out, or Florida knocked out the Huntsman, and so they didn't get to play phase. And oh gosh, I guess I got to pick something. I'm gonna go 3-2 Optic.
Let's
go. I'm going to go with the green wall on this one. You know, at the first dinner they had this year, they were all talking and being happy and all this stuff. And then Hector raises his glass. He's like, so happy to have all you guys together. Let's go back at Optic. And you better get me some championships this year. And Scump's like, come on, man. Like, why you got to say that right now? And so I think, honestly, but I do think they want to win. Seth is getting towards the end of his career. He's playing extremely well. He's playing league play. He's playing 2v2s with Envoy, so his search game is tight. Like, and if they're communicating like they've been communicating, and Envoy, gosh, like you talked about him last week, Icon. Like, what a great young in-game leader. You know, I listen to them in scrims, and Envoy in the middle of it is like telling them what to do. How do you tell Seth and Formal what to do? Like, and he's like, look, on P3, we need to, and I'm like, whoa, all right, Envoy, do your thing, bro. And so leadership-wise, but Arcides is going to be on the other side doing the same thing. So this is going to be a clash of titans, but I'm going to give the 3-2 to Chicago.
This is going to be sick, dude. So 3-2 Chicago. I'm going, what did I say?
3-2 FaZe, I think.
3-1
Yeah.
FaZe, I think, or 3-2.
3-1. You said 3-1. You said 3-1.
Okay, I have a quick question before we do the final prediction. Icon, we're putting you on ice. Are we counting... like because the maps are going to be too hard to count. So do we just do, if you guess the map count correct, you get a point? And
yeah, get a bonus. Yeah.
Like if you guess the right win, you get a point. And if you guess the correct series score and the right win,
you get another point.
You get another point. But if I guess 3-1 FaZe and they lose 1-3, I get no points.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I'm setting up the Excel sheet after the show. Let's freaking go. We're keeping track of all our predictions this year. Keep a track at home. If you guys are predicting on your own notepad or whatever, keep track of your predictions. We'd love to know your score. We'll do a score update every week. But
you guys see what Brett put in the chat?
What did he put? He put oh, shout out Brett Diamond, by the way. Brett, I don't know if you heard us. We're talking about your other podcast you're starting soon. We're hyped for that. We're hyped for Jet Diamond. We're hyped for that.
Did you see what he wrote?
He put, Ashley, I can't believe they both picked against us. Us is in Røkkr. Need to discuss talent first link tomorrow. And then he swore and said, I thought this was our Slack channel. Red's trolling. So basically, I'll be doing the co-stream alone on Thursday, guys. Listen, I am the biased person here. I'll say that. But with that being said, I genuinely believe in our team, and that's why I'm biased. Just to make it all clear.
Yep.
I'm biased because I believe in our team and our guys.
Right.
Same thing last year. Look at that, how that went, at least at first. This year, anyway. Very exciting. Icon, final prediction of the night. LA Optic, what am I saying? I almost said LA Optic. Optic Chicago, owned by Hector Rodriguez, aka Big Optic X, going up against Atlanta freaking FaZe. Who even wins that? And is it like, do you think there's a storyline of Alec or Arcides, formerly on Optic last year, or on, God, it's so tough. Huntsman last year, going up against his old teammates now. He decided to leave. How do you, like, if you're him, I don't know. How do you play? What's your prediction, Icon?
All right. So the basis for my prediction is that there is nobody in the league that's better in the limelight than Scump and Formal. When you have a big moment, a big match, a huge position, those two, we saw it last year at launch weekend. You had all the trash talk the entire offseason, and you finally had that matchup with Chicago and Dallas, and we saw what happened there with the finger pointing and the expletives and all that sort of stuff. So there's nobody that's better in this sort of scenario than Scump and Formal. It's like their best attribute is that when the pressure's on, it's go time for those two.
Right.
The second thing that I'll say is that when it comes to Atlanta, yes, they came out in that first match and they lost to Florida, but one of the most telling things to me is that they lost to Florida and nobody really played bad. When you're looking at like how they performed overall, their best KD was Celium at a 1.04 and their worst KD was a BZ at a 0.95. So it's not like they came out and somebody just had a bad day or whatever. They were on. They were playing their game. They just ran into a Skies and a Neptune that were just better.
Right.
And I think coming into this year, if you had to put together some sort of dream team, you could say, well, at SMG, I'm going to put Simp and a BZ, and at Flex, I'm going to put Celium, and at main AR, I'm going to put Arcides, and all of a sudden you have a dream team. But just because that might have been how they played in Modern Warfare, that's not always going to translate to what you're playing in a brand new title with new mechanics and 4v4 and new map design. And there's a bazillion things that go into it. So that's not enough for me to take Atlanta and drop them out of like the top 2 or the top 3 or whatever. I'm not going to say all of a sudden that they're 6th, but I do think that there's the potential that they might just not be there yet in this title. So again, now if you're to have this matchup 4 months ago, we know that Optic for every title for all of Call of Duty history always starts hot. And then you get to those dog days of the season and, you know, whether they put in the same amount of work and all of that sort of stuff comes into question. But off the rip, there's nobody better. So in this one, that's going to be the basis for my prediction. I do think that'll be tight. I don't think you're going to see any 250 to 100 hardpoint maps or any 6-1s in search, just like I said for a couple matches earlier. But I do think that this is a map that Chicago takes. I think it'll be close. I'm going to go opposite of you. I'm going to say 3-1 Chicago. Ooh. And that's going to end our Sunday.
We did all pick different.
Somebody's getting 2 points, or we're going to get no points because Atlanta's going to win 3-2 or something.
It'll be a draw.
I'll be like, wow, I skated out of that one. All right. Wow. Yeah. It is so impossible to predict. I mean, we all made, all the points we all said is why I think this is the ultimate proving grounds match of the week. I think it's why it's the final match of the weekend. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on the matchup. And this is like, to me, obviously with Empire kind of in the match before, like you're kind of looking at the top 2-ish, 3-ish teams in the CDL in the final 2 match. I mean, obviously number 1's ROKKR. So you're looking at the final top 4
teams right there. Yeah, there you go.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so excited. I got to see it. Oh, man, we went through our predictions. We went longer than I thought we would, but it honestly went so fast. I could literally talk COD all night.
Same.
But I also have to talk on the phone all day tomorrow. My voice is already leaving me. So we're going to cut soon. I guess let's do maybe one more. Okay, really quick rapid fire round here at the end. I see a question in our notes. Shout out to whichever one of you typed this. Who needs to win the most this weekend? Kingdom, go.
Who went? LA Thieves.
They need the most.
They need to win both matches. Unfortunately, one of them is against the Røkkr, but they need to win both matches this weekend. They're the ones that they're the mystery right now. It was last year, it was like Florida. This year, it's the Thieves. They're a mystery. They could either be a top 6 or they could be middle of the bottom. Like it really, if they lost both matches this week, people would bump them way down, even though their roster is ridiculous. So I would say the LA Thieves.
IKON, what do you think? Who needs to win the most this weekend?
I was 1,000% going to say LA Thieves, so thank for that. But just to be different, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say Seattle. I think it's a big weekend for Seattle. I think they're a squad that, again, you can say anything about their talent and, you know, team morale and chemistry and stuff like that. If they come out and they lose, I just fear that there might be a little bit of a spiral or maybe there's some roster changes or whatever. So I do think that that's a squad that's important, that they come out, they play well, especially a team that they should beat. Like, they're probably not going to beat Dallas, but in that second matchup when they play London, that's probably a team that they're better than if you're just, you know, just based off of talent and the fact that they've scrimmed together for 3 months on this game and London's throwing together a roster with Paris. I mean, this is just a matchup that they should win. So if it's one that they drop when everything should be going their way, it just doesn't look good. And you never know how those players are going to respond. So I'm saying Seattle.
You guys both, I was literally in my head while asking the question, I thought both of the teams you just said. And I was like, I don't know who to pick, but I think the Seattle edges it out for me. I do, and I don't know if I thought this or said it earlier, but if they go 0-2 this weekend, that roster, I don't think that they're the type that will, like, because we saw when Seattle, like, we kept saying last year, like, oh, this team's way better than they're performing. They're going to get better. They're going to get better. Guess what? They did not get better. And over the offseason, I don't really think they improved their roster that much. Now, there are things you can do, whether it's with chemistry practice, implementation of coaching, are the players coachable? Like, there's changes that you can make internally. But if they don't win at least that match versus London, because of all the points IKON just said, they are already in, like, Troubleville population.
Well, Yeah, gunless, like Octane can still fry losing. There's players that can do that. They can take L's all day and they'll still win. I mean, back to NBA, like Devin Booker, like he can catch losses but still drop 45. And looking at like the stats from the opener, it's great that Gunless had the highest KD on that team. That's gonna motivate him. Like, and if you're able to put Gunless in a position, we know this guy can be clutch and search. We've seen it when he was, last year. And he just kind of lost his opportunity last year, probably because he was a little hot-headed or something. Like, there's only 48 players in this league. I'm not letting my mood or attitude or anything make a team question whether or not I should play for them, because you're not guaranteed a spot. And Parasite playing on the Royal Ravens is a clear indication of that. There are other players that played last year sitting on the sidelines or playing in challengers. And Parasite, who won 9 chips last year in challengers, is playing on a team. So I think if Gunless can, continue to fry and they put him in the right positions, because you're right. They have to beat the Ravens. I didn't think about it because they're probably going to lose to the Empire. And if they catch 2 L's, yeah, you're right. That roster will, it'll be in a little bit of trouble. So,
yeah. I'd like to think not. If they do catch 2 L's, I mean, you're losing to the world champs right off the rip. Like, that's tough. Maybe you bounce back. Maybe they've learned some resolve over time, because Gunless and Octane did not come off of easy years. You could say the same for Pristini and Looney. So maybe they do bounce back better than we're anticipating. But those are just our thoughts, man. Thank you for listening and watching the rotation. We will be back every single Tuesday night live at 7:30 Central Time on the ROKKR YouTube. And speaking of being live on the ROKKR YouTube, tomorrow we are premiering Saga Season 2. It's a docu-series chronicling Minnesota Rokkrs competition.
It's so good.
Their lives. It's awesome. Obviously, with COVID and everything, put a wrench in how we've been able to cap. But we've been able to cap some great stuff with our new roster. So we're excited to share that with you tomorrow. 6 p.m. Central Time is when we plan to premiere it on this channel. So stick around for that. And we're going to be uploading episodes of that pretty frequently throughout the season. So get into it. And if you want to know what the heck happened last season, maybe you're just joining. There's a whole season of Saga for you to just pop the popcorn and watch what happened, watch history. First year of the CDL. And then on Thursday for the match versus LA Thieves, IKON and I will be on this channel live doing a co-stream. So it'll be kind of like this, where we're talking about COD, we're chopping it up before the match, a little bit during the match maybe, and then definitely after the match talking about what went down. But you'll mostly, for the most part, especially while the match is on, you will just see the match. So come watch with us, come chat with fellow Røkkr fans, come get hype with us. We're very excited for the co-stream. So that's all I got, man. Like, any final words, closing words, any last shots you want to get in about this weekend?
We talked for an hour and a half, and we didn't mention league play. We didn't mention the new kits that are out. We didn't mention anti-cheat. We didn't mention challengers. We didn't.
So what you're saying is we should do another episode next week.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk for 4 hours.
What's going to be crazy is we're going to have another week of COD, so we're going to have to really find out how to condense these predictions.
We're going to have to recap and predict next week. That's going to be, we got 30 minutes of recap and then somehow 30 minutes of predictions.
We're going to make it happen. I believe in us. Me and Kingdom are especially a little long-winded. Poor Icon's trying to get his words in. It's a battle every week. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening or watching. Really appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week.